What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for our brand new first official build for 2025. Yeah, we're about a month late, but you know what? Hey, we're getting onto it. So let's go ahead and check out the kit we're going to be starting off here with, because I am really excited to build this and it should be an interesting subject. So check it out. We're going to go ahead and work on this right here, the 1/48 scale J7W-1 by Zoukei-Mura. Now this is a manufacturer that I've never actually built anything from, so I have no idea how this is going to go. I've heard some great things about just how detailed these kits are, and plus it's a J7W, and I really like the look of this very unique and interesting fighter. We're going to get into it today and just take a look at the parts and pieces, talk a little bit about what we got going on in here. So let's go ahead and open up the box and check out the parts. Now just getting into the box, guys, I've been taking a look at the plastic and these are absolutely beautifully molded parts. There's a lot of them too. Very clean, very crisp. A little bit of flash here and there, but for the most part, these are great looking parts. Get you a zoom in here, you can check out just how much detail they've ended up putting into the cockpit. Here's the instrument panel right there. We've got the instrument floor. We have a front section where all the guns would be, even though technically the prototype didn't have any guns, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. Just an amazingly detailed kit. We even have all of the 4 30mm cannons right here in the nose. These are also excellently molded. I don't know if they're gonna be visible, but it's a really nice looking set of guns for sure. Again, a lot of molded in hoses, molded in structural detailing, of course consoles, switches, dials, the whole works. And then the center frame that everything is built off of, that's a very unusual design. A little bit of cleanup will be needed, of course, but very cool. Now the big thing about this kit is just how much detail we have. We have a full engine, beautifully detailed. We've got all the cylinders, we've got the intakes, we've got the giant, massive 6-bladed propeller, which is going to be interesting to paint. The size of this is just super cool. Propeller cap here as well. All our intake ducting, our exhausts, all the different parts and pieces. This is going to be a really detailed engine for sure, and that's kind of the whole point of this kit, I think. So we'll have to see how that comes out, but I have some ideas. Moving on to the external areas on the kit, the wing surfaces are very nicely detailed with recessed panel lines, raised detail where necessary. The Shinden had a very unusual design. It had a front set of canards, and we've got these right here molded as one piece. Also, very nice looking detail, so that's cool. We've got our actuators in there as well, so that's going to be fun to work on. We also have our wheels that are molded in one piece, but unfortunately we have a little bit of flash on these wheels. However, that shouldn't take too much to clean up. I wish they were kind of weighted though. The landing gears themselves also look excellently molded and pretty accurate as far as I can tell from the pictures. Again, the undersurface of the aircraft, same. We have a little bit of raised detail where it's necessary, but most of the panel lines are recessed. I don't know if we have any here in the kit. I think this can actually mount some bombs or rockets on the wings or something like that. But we've got our flaps that can also be lowered or raised. We've got our wheel bays, and these are some massively long landing gears, right? They kind of have to be. And I think you can see up through the landing gear bays to the engine. So it's not like we're going to build the engine and you're not going to see any of it. We do have our flaps, as you can see, a couple of ejector pin marks in those little flap wells, so that might be a little bit difficult if I need to drop them, but raised shouldn't be a problem. Landing gear wheel covers also look excellent, very nicely molded details, and I think these are going to go together well. Going into the fuselage itself, this is going to be where it gets a little complicated. Yes, the parts look fantastic, but we have a lot of panels we have to kind of assemble, and that's going to be a little tricky because I've heard that a couple of them don't really want to fit very well. Overall though, the molding on this, we have some open vents, we've got our place for our intake here. It looks awesome. Already molded in details. We have some rivets here raised where necessary, recessed most other places. We have our inside cockpit detail as well. Even the other panels for the engine surround, all of that, all the fuselage panels have nicely molded in detail on the outside and the inside. So that's going to be pretty awesome if I choose to open up that engine bay. We are also given a very small sheet of decals, and yeah, there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot of markings. We've got our yellow tips for our propellers. We've got some other details. We've got our leading edge wing stripes as well, and we got our instrument panel there for the cockpit. We also have some red lines and some Japanese writing for different areas and panels. It's a very simplistic looking decal sheet, but since a lot of these would have a lot of carrier film attached to it, I don't know if I'm going to use that or cut that out of the carrier film. Plus again, some side fuselage detailing, so not too shabby. It looks pretty good, but we'll see how they go on. Now I also picked up something kind of interesting. These are some seat belts for IJN aircraft, and it's from Edward, and they're from the Super Fabric line. I have no idea how these work. I've never used them before, but they come pre-painted and they have that 3D printed feel, kind of like Quinta or something like that. So I do intend on using these to kind of spice up the cockpit just a little bit. Again, I've never used them, so I don't know how they go together, but we'll see when we get into it. We'll try them out, see how they work. Now for the instruction manual, this is going to be a very detailed instruction manual because like I said, there are a lot of different options and different areas and open panels and all that. So let's get into it. First page, of course, a little bit of history about the aircraft. We have our paint callouts down here, which actually is kind of interesting. They number the paints, but then you have to refer back to here to get what the paint actually is. So a little tedious, but it's all good. We start off with the engine, and as you can see, it's a lot of parts and pieces to go together for the engine. Cockpit is actually the second thing on the list, which is unusual. Most of the time we start off with the cockpit and we work eventually down to the engine, but here we start with the engine first, and this is going to be kind of the focal point of the build. Now, if I can do it, I want to put in pipes and detailing, all that good stuff here on the engine. In terms of the cockpit looks great, drops right into place. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to work with. Might want to add in a couple of wires here and there. Then we start assembling everything into the subframe, and if I remember correctly, there was only maybe 2, possibly 3 of these aircraft that were ever made. I never saw operational use. And the prototype didn't actually carry any guns, but it was planned on having different expansions, and of course they did plan on, of course, arming the aircraft, and it would have had 4 30mm cannons, so we could actually open up that area and check them out. I would have actually kind of preferred if this was a prototype with no guns, to get a bit more accuracy in there. Turning over the page, again we're back to the engine. We have all the different exhausts and different plates and whatnot to glue on there, and then eventually we drop it back down into the subassembly for the frame. And then as you can see here, we've got the guns in there, the wheel bay goes in, the engine is already in there, and there is again so much detail that goes into this, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how it goes together. And then we start putting on the exterior cladding, and then eventually the bottom portion of the wing and the top portion of the wings. So again, there are a lot of details that go into this. Even the engine, as you can see back here, there are some panels that we're supposed to glue in place, but that's an opportunity, I feel, for maybe a bit more of the visible engine. So I don't know if I can open up some side panels, or if I can maybe not glue these down and just have them sitting there. I don't know, but it seems a shame to go ahead and build up the entire engine and then cover it all with these exterior cladding panels. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Might be an opportunity to have a little bit of fun with it, see what I can do, maybe open them up, expose different parts of the engine. You never know, but it's an idea. Then on back to more detailing, like the front canards, the rear tails, and then the landing gears. And the landing gears themselves are super long on this aircraft. Probably have to put some nose weight in here though, because like I said, it is a very unusually shaped aircraft. Even more landing gear assemblies, and of course we get to some detailing, and then we get to the flaps. Now the flaps can be folded upwards or can be deployed, and I don't know what to do necessarily, but we do have options, so that's awesome. And then onto the massive 6-bladed propeller right here in the back, and then eventually moving on to a slight bits of detail like navigation lights, pitot tube, and all that. And then onto the cockpit, where we have 2 options, one for open and one for closed canopy. And then we're on to painting, decals, and all of that good stuff. So this is going to be a very interesting, very detailed model. I have no idea how it's going to fit together, but I'm actually very excited to get into it because this is a very cool looking airplane. So that's it, guys. That's what we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited to get into it. It's a very unusual looking aircraft, and for a plane that only had like 2 or 3 of these made, it really etched itself into Japanese animation, even movies, and it's a really cool looking fighter. So I'm excited to give it a shot, and we're going to jump in next episode with the engine and the cockpit and just start moving along, see what we can do, build up our awesome looking J7W-1 and get that eventually in the display case. So thank you so much for watching. Until our next episode, guys, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, and build something cool. We'll see you back here on episode 2 for our J7W here on Ben Builds Military Mondays. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.